to play chess. But before we learn how to play chess, we should know some basic rules. In a chessboard, there are 64 squares. 32 squares are light and 32 squares are dark. In a chessboard, if you say the horizontal lines, they're called ranks. If you see those vertical lines, they're called files. In a chessboard, there are names for each square, like A1. So in the corner of a chessboard, they'll write the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. And there are also numbers they'll write. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, if we see the square H1, that means it's the white side, because H1 is a light square, so it is the white side. H8 is black side because it is a dark square. The most powerful piece in chess is the queen, and the queen will be in a light square because it likes to be in its home. And the opponent's queen will be in the opposite in their home. The next most valuable piece is the rook. A rook goes vertically, which means the rook can go straight up, and it can go horizontally. The next most valuable pieces are the knight and the bishop. The knight can jump like an L, like that. And the bishop can go diagonally. The next piece is a pawn. A pawn is always in the front of the board. The pawn will be in the entire board, but only in the second rank. Next, the king. The king is not really that powerful because the king, it can only move one step front and one step back. It can go in every direction but one step. Now we know how the pieces are, so let's learn the value of them. So let's set up the board. The knight will go to B1, which the B is the file and 1 is the rank. Next, we put the bishop in C1. C is the file and 1 is the rank. We'll repeat the same thing. This is how the white side will be set up. The black side will have the king in the opposite color. Both kings will be facing each other, but they will be in the opposite color of their team. So, white queen likes to stay in its home, and black king likes to stay in the white's home. Like same to white. The king likes to go to black's team. Let's set up the board for black. The rook will be in A8. A is the rank, A is the file, and 8 is the rank. Next, we'll put the knight right next to the rook in B8. B is the file and 8 is the rank. The bishop will be next to the knight. So, the bishop is in C8. And again, we'll put the bishop over here in F8. and another knight in g8, and another rook in h8. Now there are a few pawns we need to put. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In a chess game, there will be 8 pawns for each team. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pawns. So, let's learn how each piece moves. If we want to move this pawn over here, then we move it 2 steps. 1, 2. Even a pawn can go 1 or 2 steps. Next, let's learn how a bishop moves. A bishop goes diagonally. So, then we have to move the bishop as many steps as we want, but we have to only move it diagonally. So, next, we have 2 bishops. Each team will have 2 bishops. One bishop is called a light square bishop, and another bishop is called a dark square bishop. We even have 2 knights. We don't call them light square knight or dark square knight. Knights, if they're in a dark square, then they can move to only light squares, but in an L shape. So perhaps our knight is over here, and it wants to go over here. It'll go like an L. It'll go 1, 2, 3. Or it wants to go back. 1, 2, turn, and it reaches the destination. Next, the queen, the most powerful piece. The queen can go any way it wants. It can go diagonally, it can go horizontally, it can go vertically, it can go like every single piece except the knight. The queen cannot jump like a knight. It cannot go in an L shape. It can only go diagonally, horizontally, or vertically. This is a king, and this king is over here. And now this king has 8 places it can go. So it can move here, 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 and here. Next, the rook. This rook can go vertically and horizontally. Next, the final one. We are going to learn about the pawns even more. The pawns can do a thing called pawn promotion. Pawn promotion is where the pawn goes all the way to the other end of the board. And promote, which means change, into another piece. Like if we want, we can change a pawn to a knight, bishop, rook, or queen. This pawn wants to turn into a queen since it's the most powerful piece. Now, let's see. Now this rook, this is now black's turn. The rook saw that this pawn has promoted. So, rook will capture. Capture means to take the piece out of the game. So it'll take the piece out of the game. So white will lose a piece. Each piece has its own value. So a bishop is worth 3 points. A knight is also worth 3 points. A rook is worth 5 points. A queen is worth 9 points. And a pawn is worth 1 point. The king is priceless because The king almost does nothing in the game. It'll only move one step to the side if it has a check. A check is where a piece will give an attack to the king. So see, then in the next move, the queen will capture our king. So then we won't have a king and we'll lose the game. And in this game, the main thing is to always have our king safe.